Electrolytes are real. They're important. The question becomes, does the average person living a relatively average life need to supplement them?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the How To Fitness podcast with me, Michael Ujoa.
And me, Kate Lyman.
And we're back with a deep dive from the one, the only, Kate Lyman. Kate, how are we today?
You know, how I always am before a deep dive, which is like on borderline mental breakdown, but like having fun.
Nice.
Which actually describes everything.
Yeah. That sounds pretty normal. So we're going to be absolutely fine today. That sounds really good. I also have a cup of tea. My throat feels weird today, so I'm sorry if I sound a bit weird. I woke up this morning and thought I'd lost my voice, and I was so scared that I was going to have to text you to be like, I can't talk for the podcast. But luckily, I've done a lot of talking today with clients. So okay, I've got tea. I've got a really nice caramelized biscuit tea.
Oh,
it's fantastic. Anyone who likes Yorkshire tea, you can get caramelized biscuit one, and it smells like you've dunked a biscuit in your tea. It's great.
It sounds delightful.
Yeah,
I have
really
water, so that's not very fun.
Right.
But oh boy, are we going to talk about hydration today?
It's very on brand.
And I have in front of me a 24-page script. So
that's your biggest yet.
That might be my biggest yet. I'm going to have to pick and choose as we go.
Sure.
But all that to say, let's just do it, Michael.
Okay.
Let's just get right into it.
Let's dive into it.
There is no time to spare.
Before we do, there's me delaying. I actually have had 3 messages this week. One was from someone saying they really like us talking before the episodes. Great. Another one was saying, I like it when you don't talk before the episodes and you just jump straight into the script. And then the other one, what was the other one that I was going to mention? Anyway, it's very mixed, and it just points out that you cannot please everyone. So without further ado, I feel like we've given a little bit at the start here, but not too much that it's going to annoy people. So, Kate, I will leave it to you now, and I'm going to shut up and drink my tea.
We can't please everyone. And,
that's the moral of this story.
Bean soup theory, right?
Exactly that.
All right. So as I was having, I guess I do have a little chatter. So I take everything I just said back. As I was preparing for this episode, as I was borderline mental breakdown, as I set a 3:50 alarm for this morning to get to my office early because I literally haven't had enough time this week, I was thinking, why the hell do I do this? But like, not in an existential crisis way, but like in a really good way. I love when we do a deep dive, Michael. Mm-hmm. I love and hate it because it's just really hard to fit into our schedules. And I think we both feel the same way. But I was thinking, like, what do I want out of every episode someone listens to? And I think I say this, and we say this most of the time, but like to help people, our listeners, feel more informed consumers of food, informed consumers of information, helping us better navigate this barrage of marketing and misinformation that's thrown our way daily, and unpacking all of that stuff that we see and hear and looking a little deeper into the evidence. And the reason I was thinking about this is because, well, you and I have experimented lately, or I don't think we've experimented, but we've seen that like our deep dive episodes do the best. Period. Hands down.
Yeah, they do.
We like doing interviews, but they kind of flop.
People don't want to listen to them that often. Yeah. It's
no,
weird.
They don't.
Right?
And it's fine. Like I think from here on out we decided unless we get our long awaited Dr. Jen Gunter on the podcast, we'll probably stop interviews for now.
Retiring from interviews apart from Jen Gunter. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
We do Q&As because we get a ton of Q&As, but like our bread and butter is these deep dives. And so every time I go into a deep dive, I think the stress to me is like, oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about. How do I get it into an hour? And how do I make it as informative as possible? So that's what I was like noodling on this morning as I was trekking over to my office in the wee hours.
I'm so impressed. Also, when you said you were going to do an episode on electrolytes, I was very happy about it, of course. But I thought that'd be quite a short one. Apparently not when Kate's doing the research.
It's me. It's me, nothing short. Yeah, so let's do it.
Okay, and just before we start, Kate, if that's okay, I just want to remind everyone listening, we do not do adverts on these episodes. We like to keep them just us, nice and fresh. So the way that you can support our podcast, please, to help us spread the word, this positive message about health and fitness, please share these episodes. Please like, subscribe, leave comments, whatever you can do to help boost our profile. We would really appreciate it. Yeah, there we go.
Yes. Thank you to our listeners. And if you give us a review, we will love you forever. We already do love you forever, but like a little extra.
Unless it's a bad review and then we don't like you, and please never talk to us ever again.
Hey, any press is good press.
True. Yeah. Fair. Fair.
Okay. So, Michael, let's do this. Let's first talk about the Super Bowl a few months ago. Benito's performance. That's all we care about, right?
Great performance. Yeah. I've watched it about 30 times. Jude, my son, loves it.
I was just going to ask if you watch it with Jude. Milo loves it. Yeah. We watch it all the time.
His favorite bit when he falls through the ceiling of the house.
Oh, of course.
Loves it. And when he stands on top of the car. 2 highlights. Yeah.
Oh, Milo's is the trust fall back into the crowd.
It's
all fantastic. Mm-hmm. So that was obviously the highlight of the Super Bowl. And I went to a Super Bowl party that we had here in Mexico, which was funny because it was just about Bad Bunny. And I actually didn't really watch anything else. But there was a moment during the Super Bowl, I'm chasing all these kids around, that I saw this advertisement that genuinely stopped me in my tracks. And I want you to watch it, Michael. Go ahead and pull it up.
Kate sent me mid-episode videos to watch.
How can I just let you walk away when all I can do is watch you leave? So take a look at me now. There's just and there's nothing left here to remind me. Just a memory of the things. Hydrate with Liquid IV.
Can someone let me down, please?
Okay.
Michael, tell the listeners, what did you just watch?
So it's like kind of like a talking / singing toilet. You see faces in random things, and it's a Liquid IV advert. And if your pee looks yellow, they're saying that you need to better hydrate with electrolytes. Okay.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
So the premise of this ad was look at your pee. They're telling you, look at the color of your urine. Message is, if it's not the right color, you need electrolytes to take our product. That is what today's episode is about. And honestly, like I kept coming back to that ad as I was doing this episode because I told you this before, Michael. I was like, I'm not really like thrilled about electrolytes. Like this is kind of a boring topic to me. So how do I make this really interesting? And here's what we're going to talk about today. Here's what we're not going to talk about today, actually. We're not going to talk about like the minutia of electrolyte timing for athletes. We're not going to go into sports nutrition. I will link some really, really great resources on that topic. And we're not going to talk about the medical side. If you have something like POTS or a condition that genuinely affects your electrolyte needs, that, again, is a whole separate conversation with your doctor, not a podcast. But what we are going to talk about today is what are electrolytes, who actually needs them, and when, and why this has become such a massive, profitable fad.
And it is massive, right? Like I get asked about them all the time. And
all the time.
From people who do very, very little exercise, some that do no exercise at all, like wondering whether they should be taking electrolytes. It's a lot of money in it. Yeah,
and I have like my thesis through this episode is electrolytes just have a really good marketing team right now.
Yeah.
And I think we all deserve to know that. Mm-hmm. So, Michael, do you yourself take electrolytes or supplement with electrolytes?
Only when I get like deep into a training block of like Ironman or marathon training. Outside of that, no. Once I start building up like past the 10K point and it's hot, like the hotter times of the year, I'll start considering them. But apart from that, no.
You kind of already mentioned this, but your clients are asking about them all the time. Is that right?
Yeah, literally all the time. And just on Instagram, through social media, I get asked a lot. And it's also one of those topics where if you have a balanced opinion on it, some people get very defensive and quite angry about it as well. Like people that take electrolytes like taking electrolytes, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like totally fine, but we're going to talk about that too. So first thing I did was thinking about, I texted you, Michael, and I said, okay, you did your postgraduate degree or certification in performance nutrition. How much did you even talk about electrolytes? And you said like, not that much.
Yeah, like since having that text conversation, I was thinking about it further as well. And like we do, like, so when you're working with endurance athletes, like it's a thing you need to consider because if you don't, absolutely not. So yeah, like when you're kind of planning nutrition protocols for, once again, people doing Ironman, marathon events, like it's essential, like you really need it. But outside of that, no.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, and because one of the things you said was like, well, but that was 8 years ago. I'm like, that's kind of the point, right? So I pulled up Google Trends and I was like, okay, what is the increase in search in searching for electrolytes like the past few years? Like, when is this increase happening? So we can put this up in the YouTube video. You can see a visual. In the past 5 years, search queries for electrolytes have seen a 300% increase.
Wow. Okay.
300% in 5 years. That is a lot. And I think when people are searching for electrolytes, they probably often mean right now these like single serve powders or intra exercise supplements. Does that seem fair to
Yeah,
say
I'd
that
say
that's
that.
like what we're referencing right now? So let's start with a little bit of a primer on what electrolytes actually are. Electrolytes are the minerals that carry an electrical charge when dissolved in fluid. So things like blood, urine, the fluid inside and surrounding your cells. They're sodium, magnesium, potassium, calcium, chloride, phosphate, bicarbonate, and they help regulate nerve and muscle function, maintain acid-base balance, and keep fluid levels stable through the body. This is really important stuff. Electrolytes are very important. That's not what we're talking about here. Every time you move or think or hydrate, electrolytes are involved. So sodium maintains fluid balance. It aids in nerve signals. Potassium supports muscle function and help prevent cramps. Magnesium is crucial for energy and muscle relaxation. Calcium assists in muscle contraction. There's a lot of different functions. And when you sweat, whether it's an intense workout or a hot day, you lose both water and these minerals. So replenishment in our bodies is not just about drinking fluids. It's also about restoring the right balance of electrolytes to keep our bodies running efficiently. Electrolytes are real. They're important. The question becomes, does the average person living a relatively average life need to supplement them? And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. What I think we overlook is the fact that we get electrolytes from food and water. Sodium is in almost everything, right? Like, it's one of the substances we get too much of, not too little. Potassium is in bananas, potatoes, leafy greens, beans. Magnesium is in nuts, seeds, whole grains. Calcium is in dairy and fortified foods and leafy greens. So if a person is eating a reasonably varied diet, they're almost certainly getting adequate electrolytes most of the time. Like, maybe it's not perfectly optimized, but adequate. They're not depleted. That's what we can say. But adequate is not very profitable, right? Like deficient. Deficient is profitable. So there is a very strong incentive to make us feel like we're running on empty, even if we may not be. So when do we actually lose electrolytes? Electrolyte loss is something we can pay attention to, and the most obvious time and reason would be sweating a lot. When we sweat, we're losing sodium primarily, and then smaller amounts of the others. If you're sweating a ton for a prolonged period, your electrolyte needs do go up. So we're talking about things like what you mentioned, Michael: endurance athletes, marathon runners, cyclists, ultra athletes, triathletes, etc. We know that when we lose less than 2% of body weight during intense exercise, electrolytes can help with hydration. Let me also point out, like, that's partially the hydration part, right? Like, it's the getting water too.
Sure. I just to interject here, this is going to be a weird question. Are you quite a sweaty person, Kate? Like, do you, like, because I'm an exerciser who doesn't sweat very much when I exercise at all.
Like, very moderate amounts. I think of when I was living in Memphis, and like, yes, but that's because the humidity there was outrageous.
Grim,
and here it's really dry, so not really.
Yeah, I just don't, like, if I'm doing like an indoor turbo training session where the weather's warm, then yeah, I will. But if I do outside exercise, strength training, whatever, I just don't sweat much at all.
Also, like, my biggest efforts were always in ultra marathons, and those aren't that sweat. Like, it's time that's the issue there, not the sweat amount. It's like, yeah. But again, those are like very specific conditions. So for people doing multiple workout sessions in a day in the heat, this can become relevant. Potentially people who work very physical jobs outside in hot weather for hours. Those are very real scenarios where electrolyte replacement matters. And there's also, like I said, medical situations. So vomiting, diarrhea, certain medications, specific conditions, that's outside our scope for today. But what is not in that bucket is a 60-minute gym session, a brisk morning walk, or like sweating during a hot yoga class, going about your day in a warm house. But I think we can say confidently, like, the marketing for electrolyte supplements is not only aimed at endurance athletes, right? It's kind of aimed at everyone.
I mean, that Liquid
aired
IV
on the
advert.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
Super Bowl advert is
exactly.
clear. Like, this is for everyone. Yeah.
This is for everyone. It is aimed at you just for being a person who sometimes gets thirsty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's a quick aside. I had about 500,000 tabs open for this episode, and there were just so many things I like couldn't get into.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a little list I kept of like research that we won't get into here, but I'll put in the show notes. And I'm just going to list it off. So if you're interested in these other points, it'll be in the show notes, or you can message me and we can talk more about it. But there is this 2025 study from Naderi et al. That talks about best post-exercise recovery strategies, and their food and water. There's no talk of electrolytes.
How dull.
Because you get what you need from the food and water. There is an observational study looking into really intense physical labor jobs, specifically in wildland firefighters, that found that electrolytes were positive, specifically because it helped the firefighters hydrate more while carrying less load. Like, you can get the same amount of hydration as drinking water, but for less liquid, and that's important
That's
when they're
cool.
carrying their packs. Yeah. There's a study by Mon and Sheriffs on muscle cramping that found there are so many different reasons we cramp, but the biggest are lack of muscular conditioning and dehydration. So again, we're talking about water and fitness. And then there's something I like yearned to learn more about, but didn't get into in this episode, but put some resources below about sex differences in fluid dynamics. And that came up especially as I was thinking about so many of my perimenopause or menopausal clients whose like fluid dynamics are very different and may have different needs outside of the gist of what we're talking about today. So those are fun things. But they'll be in the show notes. And let's get back to the Liquid IV ad. What did it say again, Michael? Look at your pee. Is it yellow?
Take a look at your pee. Yellow. Hydrate with Liquid IV.
Okay. Close.
It's kind of like not telling you have to use it, but insinuating that you have to use it. That's kind of clever to get around all the probably the little legalities.
No claims made.
Yeah,
no claims
exactly.
made. And here's the thing about like the pee color thing. Like, urine color is a very real hydration indicator. That's what we use with our clients, right? Like, it's what we're talking about in any setting. That's not made up. But the leap from check your hydration to you need to buy an electrolyte supplement is like, that's a big convenient leap.
Is there, I'm not aware of any research linking yellow pee to lacking in electrolytes.
I did not come up against anything.
No. It's
but
like,
I also did not specifically look.
That's
but
great,
that's the thing.
Yeah.
In so much of this research I did, all it would come back to is hydration.
Yeah.
Like, these are different topics. One other thing I'm going to put in the show notes is, James Smith. James Smith, isn't that his name?
The
fitness guy,
the British
very
PC
bro
guy.
guy.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, but yeah, please
Okay,
continue.
I'm not either.
Okay.
I'm not either.
I was wondering if
just
that's
like,
what you meant. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I guess I'm neutral. I don't really care. I don't watch his stuff, except I watched a video of his about electrolytes when I was like just searching around for some like pop culture moments where he said basically, I do jujitsu and I was going to create an electrolyte supplement for jujitsu folks because I found they've really helped me. But in doing the formulation, I went and talked to all these experts and they were like, bro, it's the water and the sugar. And so I pulled the supplement and I thought that was very noble. I also find it's very sad that seems noble.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a very low bar in the fitness space. He didn't scam people. What a great guy.
Yeah. But it was interesting. He had an expert on to kind of talk about some fluid dynamics and specifically a little bit about blood sodium levels, which I thought was really interesting. But again, I don't want to get too much into that. So bringing it back to these electrolytes, many symptoms electrolytes products promise to fix or share that they will help with is fatigue, headaches, brain fog, muscle cramps. And these are often just dehydration. These are symptoms of dehydration. So electrolytes do help your body retain water. That's very real. But if you're just mildly dehydrated, like water is usually going to do the job. And if you're eating, water is definitely, going to do the job. There's a small caveat that there's a concept called overhydration or hypernatremia where you drink so much water that you actually dilute those blood sodium levels. I can never think about this or hear about this without thinking about the infamous Hold Your Wee to Win a Wee competition that happened in
Yeah,
California
so
where
bad.
that woman died of hypernatremia. In all the marketing I was looking through of all these different electrolyte supplements, I saw so many brands like leaning into this idea that like you're drinking too much water without getting enough electrolytes to justify their products. This is so rare. And this idea of hyponatremia, like primarily is going to affect endurance athletes who are drinking too much water and not getting enough balanced electrolytes and probably carbohydrates or glucose alongside. Not your average Joe. What I want to talk about a little bit more before we get into the meat, I say like 20 minutes in, is sodium. Michael, I didn't know that there was a lot of controversy around sodium. Are you tuned in to how much controversy there is around sodium?
I mean, there's controversy around everything now regarding nutrition. And I think like carnivore bros who are like, yeah, eat loads of saturated fat. It's fine. I'm assuming it's probably sitting in that bracket now where they're like, it's a conspiracy telling us to cut our sodium intake. Is this what we're hinting at?
Yeah, it's
Wild.
no, literally that. And I cannot tell you how shocking it felt to feel like people were in a camp around sodium. Like it was shocking. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. Sodium definitely gets the most attention when we're talking about electrolytes. That makes sense. It's the main electrolyte in the fluid outside your cells. It's what we lose most meaningfully through sweat. It's also the most studied electrolyte in relation to health outcomes, right? So we got a lot of science adjacent language to borrow from. Let's talk about it from this evidence-based perspective. Excessive sodium is a genuine threat to cardiovascular health. Full stop. The top 5 disease burdens linked to high sodium diets are stroke, heart disease, hypertensive heart disease, stomach cancer, chronic kidney disease. There's this study, 1989, InterSalt study, that is one of the largest international investigations to ever be done on sodium. And it found a clear association between higher sodium intake and higher blood pressure, with the strongest evidence showing that populations with very low sodium intake had essentially no age-related rise in blood pressure at all.
Wow.
So I went to look at what do different organizations recommend as far as sodium intake. The WHO, World Health Organization, recommends under 2,000 milligrams of sodium per day. The American Heart Association goes even lower, under 1,500 milligrams for most adults. The U.S. dietary guidelines land at under 2,300 milligrams, and the average American is eating around 3,400 to 3,600 milligrams per day. So we're collectively nowhere near this problem of eating too little sodium. So anyone who has done notable research into sodium may have seen these claims about a J curve. So that an idea that there's both too much and too little sodium being harmful, and there's a sweet spot in the middle. Do you follow Sigma Nutrition's anything?
Yes.
Alan Flanagan.
Yeah.
He's too smart. He just breaks my brain, but fantastic genius of a man. He has done so much work dispelling this idea of this J curve by showing this major methodological error in this research. And he is way too smart for me to try to explain this. And I would bore you all to death trying to do that. So I'll share a Sigma Nutrition podcast he has on this topic. But here's why this is relevant, okay? Some brands, including LMNT, who I am going to hate on all day today, have leaned on this 2011 JAMA study to argue that 4 to 6 grams of sodium per day is actually optimal. But all of these studies reporting a paradoxical inverse, or this J-shaped association between sodium and cardiovascular disease, were based on a secondary analysis of studies not designed to assess that relationship. There is a much better design, trials of hypertension prevention, which use multiple 24-hour urine collections for more accurate sodium measurement, which found a continued decrease in cardiovascular events down to 1,500 milligrams per day. So this J-curve idea, there's too little that's harmful and too much, is like, it gets a lot of airtime, but the methodological criticism is worth noting. And here's why I bring this up. I know that was a very boring thing to listen to, but it's relevant, I promise. Over 70% of dietary sodium comes from ultra-processed foods, okay? So this is less about like, don't salt your pasta water at home and more of a food systems issue. Sodium is baked into these foods that we rely on daily, and these foods that are often the most accessible and affordable options, right? Ultra-processed foods. Food access plays a huge role here. And I think any honest conversation about sodium reduction has to acknowledge that individual behavior change isn't the whole answer. We say that in probably every single episode ever. Systemic change in how food is produced and made available matters enormously. So we got to get out of the way. And here's the second reason. I spent a lot of time and research while doing this episode on LMNT and Liquid IV, two brands that I think are at the forefront of these electrolyte conversations, right? Like there are others, but let's just say for the sake of this episode, these are the two that we're focusing on most. I think LMNT is more notorious to me with like, it has this very AG1 style presence on podcasts. So I went to check out the website and I went to the LMNT website. It is all about salt. Here's what it says on the homepage. More salt, not less. A growing body of research reveals that optimal health outcomes occur at sodium levels 2 to 3 times government recommendations. That's why we say more salt, not less. Right under that is a graph of this sodium J curve I was just talking about, right? And there's also a bar graph showing government recommendations versus science-backed recommendations. Now, I am not going to use this podcast episode to go into the intricacies of government recommendations. Maybe sodium restriction or guidelines have gone a little too far with pushing sodium reduction. Probably, maybe, I don't know. I didn't go into the whole public health implications of this like low sodium movement. But what I felt really shocked by was the anti-intellectualism bullshit, Maha coded sowing of distrust in government recommendations and cherry picking of what science-backed recommendations mean.
How's that allowed? That's crazy.
I don't know, but like I'm really mad about this.
Yeah, that really puts me off them as a brand. I've never bought them, but I have clients who have used them in the past. But that's,
because I think they're kind of at the forefront of this space.
Yeah.
So that's the homepage. On the header, the navigation, there's a tab called Science. Click on Science, and the categories of science are then electrolytes, low carb, and fasting.
Oh God, here we go.
Yeah, so there's that. Then there's a top article called The WHO's Misguidance on Sodium. The first sentence is, the World Health Organization recently reprovoked the war on salt.
Oh God. This is very Maha.
This is so Maha.
Yeah. Who owns this company?
Okay, Michael, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
We're going to get to
Good.
it. But I'm like a slow build up, okay?
Okay.
Then
I'm so excited to hate another brand because I'm so disappointed in everything related to the world right now.
I know.
So, yeah. Okay.
My sister always sends me that meme that's like, good time to be a hater. Many things suck and many people are stupid. Yeah. So then going through this article, there's a lot of WHO hate. And like, okay, I'm not here to defend every WHO decision. What do I know about all of that? But then there's a lot of cherry picked science. So we're scrolling down the page and under like, here's the issues. It says the Intersalt study of 1988, which I just referenced earlier, found zero correlation between salt consumption and high blood pressure in 10,000 people across 48 global populations. Now, if you're watching right here, I'm going to put a screenshot where the conclusions or the results section of this study says the opposite. I like literally don't even know what's going on there.
This happens all the time amongst carnivore crowds.
I don't get it.
Yeah, this is why.
And Michael, I went and was reading like influencer and dietitian influencer reviews of LMNT, and the amount of people I saw quote that section
without actually
from
checking up
this
on it.
article was astounding.
That's wild.
So in this Intersalt study, within the same population groups, they looked at individual people. When they looked at individual people, those who excreted more sodium in their urine, which is the most accurate proxy for like how much sodium they're eating, tended to have higher blood pressure. And that relationship held up even when accounting for factors like body weight and alcohol intake. So the sodium blood pressure link was standing on its own. I don't know what he's saying. Oh, that's one of the secrets. Ding, ding, ding. Did you know this is a man who did this?
I'm so surprised.
The last paragraph of this article says, If we want to save lives, we should spare the energy spent scraping together a 99-page compendium against an essential nutrient that most healthy people need more of, not less. That effort, teamwork, and money would be much more wisely spent on a campaign against the sugary modern diet. The solution is simple. Celebrate nutritious whole foods, make them accessible, and promote a healthy weight and metabolism. That's my take on the new WHO report. I hope you find it useful as you navigate the bizarre world of public health recommendations.
The only thing missing is them being like, well, the head of WHO doesn't have a six-pack, so why are we trusting those guys, you know?
Exactly. And like we can see this second to last sentence. The solution is simple. Celebrate nutritious whole foods, make them accessible, blah, blah, blah. And agree with that, right? Like there's always something we can agree on. But like the anti-intellectualism and science denialism of this, while these things are at all-time high right now, is so bothersome. And there are so many reasons why I understand why. Okay, so like this is not me putting up a fight for all government recommendations. But you are telling me that we should ignore or eschew all this data and science from decades of cardiovascular health research and instead listen to a businessman literally selling overpriced salt? Like, don't piss me off. That really makes me mad.
Kate's as angry as I was when I was doing
So
the food
mad.
intolerance testing episode. This is great. Yeah. Wild.
Okay, you want to know who wrote that? Do you want to know who the co-founder is?
Oh, please, go for it.
It's Rob Wolf,
Ah, okay. I can't.
Paleo Man.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Red flag name. Like, as soon as you hear that
So
name. Like,
Rob Wolf, the author of the Paleo Solution, Paleo Pioneer.
Keto stuff, yeah.
I have really personal beef with him, so let me just air my bias right now. His book, The Paleo Solution, like basically gave me an eating disorder in my young years. So like I have beef with him, and I'm gonna air my dirty laundry now that like I'm biased from the get-go. But I'm also being for real about what I'm reporting on right now. This is really
It's now an evidence-based
relevant.
hatred of him, Kate.
It's
so that's
evidence-based
fine.
hatred. Yeah, actually, it just it affirms my biases, so I'm happy about that. This is really relevant because he co-founded LMNT with Keto Gains. That was the other company, to help clients on low-carb, keto, and paleo diets, which actually may necessitate some electrolyte supplementation because of low-carb intake, right? That actually makes a lot of sense. And in a different article, he said, I like came up with this idea because I kept hearing the same thing from my coaching clients. Quote, I feel awful on a clean diet, end quote.
What a surprise.
Like, okay, maybe the solution is carbohydrates,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
electrolytes. But like also, okay, whatever. And you know, that like lends more authenticity to why this company came to be. It makes more sense why the 3 sections of science are electrolytes, low carb, and fasting, because those are low carb diets and someone fasting are reasons why you may need electrolytes, because you're not getting food, or at least balanced diet. But like the sake of hating on LMNT, let me just add that they're like mega RFK Jr. supporters. I think you could tell.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask whether that was the case.
Yeah,
but yeah, okay.
they are. Yeah. And like they recently had a class action lawsuit against them for marketing ingredients as all natural, even though they have like artificial and synthetic ingredients, and another class action lawsuit around like sneaking maltodextrin into their formula, which has a really bad reaction for some people. Anyway, so
kind of actions of people that care about our health, Kate.
exactly. The war on salt. The war on protein. Just come on, people.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so here's the part I want to get into even a little more. The marketing. I think it's fair to say that these like electrolyte packet sachets, as we're seeing them right now, are essentially salt, potassium, magnesium, sold at a massive markup to people who may not need them, may not. More or less like dressed up in very science forward branding, and it works really well financially. And I'm not an expert in the markets or business numbers and stuff, but I had to like look into it because I was like, this has to be really profitable, right? So we're talking about the sports drink world, a world where Gatorade alone commands 63% of the market.
Wow.
I need us to recognize that electrolytes the little powders in this sachets, just like the bottled drinks at a gas station, are sports drinks. These are all the same thing. I'm not saying the formula is exactly the same, but it's more or less the same thing, right? And Gatorade has spent decades associating electrolytes with like weird blue sweat and pro athletes. And these newer electrolytes, what we'll call them, like the new generation of electrolytes, I guess, like have a different approach of positioning the conversation around being more of like a performance tool. It feels different, right? If it's safe to say it like feels a little different. And the audience is also different. So like CrossFitters, paleo keto folk, biohackers, I guess we can call them oftentimes, like those who already have a bit more baseline knowledge and interest in fitness and nutrition science. And that is why LMNT specifically has their whole marketing strategy to partner with podcasts, the big two being Huberman Lab.
There we go.
And Peter Attia's The Drive. 1 second for you to give us the Peter Attia tea. Just give it to us real quick.
He was in the Epstein files, just to like throw it out there. Just not a good guy.
Yeah. Surprise. The trust building is there. So like the audience doesn't need to say, do I need to have this much salt? Like they're kind of primed, right? And like I said, the actual product itself, not that special. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, that's it. Those are relatively cheap minerals you can find kind of anywhere. Gatorade and Powerade have them too. The difference between LMNT and Gatorade at a gas station isn't the formula as much as like how you feel choosing it, right? LMNT is for people who have like done their research, and that has all come almost entirely through really smart partnerships with educators people already trust.
Yeah.
So LMNT specifically is bringing in $200 million a year. They have no cold chain, no heavy packaging, no spoilage risk. So their gross margins are actually at like 55 to 60%.
Wow.
Which is so high. And the pricing power is so enormous because it's like perceived as a specialized category, right?
Because I'm always so surprised. So like when I look around for electrolyte supplements for clients, they are so expensive.
They're so expensive.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So get this, Michael. LMNT has also, I don't know if you say element or LMNT. I'm going with
I
LMNT.
say LMNT. So
Okay.
Yeah.
They have a DIY recipe on their website, which is kind of them. That's nice. You need salt, potassium chloride, magnesium malate. One other thing that does genuinely help with sodium balance is potassium. So potassium helps the kidneys excrete sodium, and it eases blood vessel tension. And that's where the electrolyte supplement pitch gets like a little more nuanced, because products like LMNT and Liquid IV do contain potassium, and we need potassium. LMNT has 1 gram. 1,000 milligrams of sodium. It's so much. And 200 milligrams of potassium per packet. Liquid IV has a little more potassium, 370 milligrams per serving.
How much was there, in the LMNT of potassium?
200.
So less than a banana.
It's less than half a banana.
Yeah, there we go.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. LMNT is giving you less than a half a banana's worth of potassium alongside a gram of sodium. Guys, I cannot express just how much a gram of sodium is.
Yeah, it's a lot.
American Heart Association is saying have 1.5 grams of sodium a day. And here's a gram. Liquid IV is closer to banana's worth of potassium, but with added sugar and carbohydrates. So the point isn't that these amounts are meaningless. They're totally not. But like potassium is very beneficial. The point is that you can get the same or more from whole food without paying $2 a packet and without a gram of sodium. I went to bulksupplements.com, and there is conveniently something called an Adventure Fuel Pack for $45.96 on bulksupplements.com that gives you 1 kilo of potassium chloride and 250 grams of magnesium malate. If you are to add salt from your house, which you have enough because it's, whatever, salt's, it's not free, but it's as close as you can get, just about. Yep. The cost of making a 30-day batch with the ingredients you just bought would be about $2.78 or 9 cents a serving.
Amazing.
That adventure pack you just bought for $45 would give you 21 months of this supply daily. So $2.19 a month.
Wow.
Which is about the same price as 1 packet a day.
Yeah.
Like per day, right?
Jeez.
A 1 month supply of LMNT by comparison is $45. A 1 month supply of Liquid IV by comparison is about $50.
I get that people will happily pay a bit more for convenience, but there's a bit more and then there's that kind of markup, right?
Right. I'm like, I'm not being silly thinking everyone's going to go out and buy this and like be a at-home chemist. I'm just showing you the markup. Like that's silly. That's silly amounts.
I wouldn't trust myself to make it correctly. I don't know. Like I feel like I don't want to make anything.
Feel like a little chemist.
Yeah. It feels like the things could go horribly wrong. Yeah.
I mean, the point is like this isn't that special.
Sure.
They do have like the flavoring. Like this is a base without the flavoring.
Mm-hmm.
So like the flavoring is the good part. Let's all be honest about
Do you know what?
that.
I was going to say that. I was kind of not saying that because I felt like a child saying it. But one of my
But that's
favorite
the
things
point.
about
Like,
electrolytes
yum.
is it tastes quite yummy. Yeah, like you finish.
It tastes good.
When you finish like a long run or a long ride or whatever, it feels quite nice to have that throughout. Or when you finish it up. So I get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm not being delusional, not thinking that's part of it, right? But let's think about the marketing tactics a little bit. So like the first one is making you feel chronically deficient. A lot of electrolyte marketing starts from the premise that you're probably depleted right now. Like, are you tired? Electrolytes. Headache? Electrolytes. Afternoon slump? Electrolytes. Feel a little off? Electrolytes.
Feel like a human? You need some electrolytes.
Yeah. These are vague, universal human experiences. Like, we're all tired. Come on.
Yeah.
We all get headaches.
Yeah.
And it feels really important for me to also recognize, like, there's a lot of N=1 here where someone takes electrolytes and feels better. And I believe you. And that's fine. And you can keep doing that. Like, this is not a message not to take electrolytes. These symptoms could be related to electrolyte imbalances in certain situations, but they could also be related to stress, bad sleep, not eating enough, eating too much, dehydration, sitting at a desk for 8 hours. I mean, there's a million things. The second tactic is this wellness halo, right? So like, I think the new electrolytes we're seeing have successfully attached themselves to like a wellness aesthetic, clean ingredients, pretty packaging, all natural, even if it's not. Influencer partnerships, minimalist fonts, whatever you want to encompass into that wellness aesthetic. Like there's a very premium and healthy and aspirational feel. And I want to share something so wild that I found when I was doing this research. A report looking at consumer trust among different types of influencers found that 56% of weekly podcast listeners say podcast hosts are the type of influencer that matters most to them. Nearly triple the share who say the same about other influencers. So by comparison, celebrities were 15% and other influencers at 20%. But 56, over half of podcast listeners say they trust
That's high. I feel like we need to use our platform for greater work here, Kate. Like, I just love broccoli. Do you love broccoli?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, with that being said, I'm going to now pause for a moment so you can hear from our sponsor, LMNT.
Okay. I went for vegetables. You went like, let's do it. Let's sell out.
Big broccoli does not have the big bucks, Michael. Come on.
Tell that to Brian Johnson with his broccoli extract.
I love that you'll never forget.
Never. Yeah.
This article or this report then went on to show that 67% of global podcast listeners make a purchase directly because of a podcaster.
Wow.
That's a lot. 85% have taken brand action after listening to a podcast. That's a lot, right? So there's a lot of trust there.
Yeah.
And the third tactic or like reality is what we just said. The profit margin is exceptional. Clearly the raw component of this is very cheap. But like a branded, flavored, pretty packaged single serving packet can be $1.50, $2, maybe more per.
I feel like
the markup is significant.
Oh, it's only the brands that have this huge markup that seem to do really well in these areas as well, because they can give such huge payouts to people that run platforms. Like if that's the markup there, they can pay Huberman or Atia like so much money for flogging this stuff because they're still going to make loads of money themselves anyway.
Yeah, and like LMNT specifically, their whole advertising comes down to these partnerships, and then they do like a free sample pack. So like if you listen to Huberman and then you use his code, you will get a free sample pack with a purchase, which gives you all the flavors and it keeps people coming back. There was like there's this whole report on like how many repeat buyers they have because of that. Wow. And like when to your point, when a product has such a high margin and a really broad potential audience, you get very aggressive marketing. Like there's more room for aggressive marketing, right? It's the same as AG1.
Yeah, AG1,
they
like
have
even
such aggressive
probably not
marketing.
now, but like Herbalife and that kind of stuff kind of sits in that bracket just because the markups are so huge. Yeah.
So LMNT has like this specifically very solid sampling program and then really strong affiliate marketing. They have 20% net profit margins, which is like really, really high. By comparison, most traditional food and beverage companies have 2 to 10% margins. They have 20.
Wow. Yeah, it's high.
So yeah, it's just pretty wild, but like not, right?
I just think we're so used to scummy behavior within the wellness space now that we're almost being dampened to its impact, Kate. I don't know. This is not a good thing.
It's not a good thing. And so we say this all the time, like you and I aren't on TikTok or like aren't like clued into TikTok, but I know that like there is a space on TikTok that's like water talk and hydration core and like the Stanley tumbler craze. I feel silly even saying that, to be honest.
Does it make you feel really old?
Hydration core. Yeah, like I feel really old. And like the wellness industry's ability to monetize basic human needs, drinking water, sleeping, walking, breathing, is pretty wild, but like also not. So where does this leave us? I want to be so clear about something. I am not saying electrolyte supplements are bad or you should throw yours away. Hydration matters. Sodium balance matters. Electrolyte balance is very real. Like I said, there's a lot of N=1, but I'm saying like, let's just put those critical thinking caps on. So a main takeaway here is that I want us as consumers of information to know that for most people eating a relatively normal diet and drinking water, you're probably fine without supplemental electrolytes. There can be benefits for heavy sweaters, endurance athletes, extreme heat, etc. But even if we were to get into sports nutrition more, like we're still going to make the main focus hydration itself and think about electrolytes like a few hours into exercise. So much of what we consider beneficial from electrolytes is just coming down to hydration. And that's why the Liquid IV commercial stopped me in my tracks. I was like, what? You're just talking about water, but you spent $10 million
Literally
to do it.
millions, yeah.
And I think for most people, it's probably not harmful to have electrolytes. If your blood pressure is high, I'd be rethinking that. But what I am saying is like, you probably don't need them most of the time. And really the feeling that you do is largely manufactured. That is what I think the takeaway here is. It can feel like a need for electrolytes is honestly like a distraction from hydration and food quality. Like they're not harmful for the most part. They're just really unnecessary. And that's the gap where marketing lives, right? And that's normal. We live in a society where we market things and people buy things. So it's all normal. But, you know, there's all this room for N=1 experience. And this is really true, knowing especially how different sodium needs can be for different individuals. Maybe you feel better with electrolytes, and maybe it's the sodium, maybe it's the potassium, maybe it's drinking more. You were underhydrated and you add a yummy flavored drink. Like, I get it. Maybe it's placebo. Placebo effect's real. It's not nothing. And if you feel better, that experience is very valid. As someone who personally hydrates with Crystal Light Strawberry first thing in the morning and multiple Diet Cokes a day, like I cast no stones. Like,
do as we say, not as we do.
No, I get my water too, so I'm fine. But I'd also ask, are you eating enough? Are you sleeping? Are you eating a variety of whole foods? Like, because if those boxes aren't checked, I mean, an electrolyte packet's not going to do much. And the knowledge we have behind the importance and the function of electrolytes in our bodies is as solid as can be. Like, there's no wiggle room in the literature for that. But the leap from electrolytes matter to everyone should be supplementing with them daily is like, that's very much a marketing leap, not a sciencey leap. It's incredible when you look into something deeper to see all that it unpacks, right? Like I did do a lot of finger pointing for LMNT.
I'm glad you did
this episode,
yeah.
But like, I mean, how could I not, right?
No, rightly so. I think these brands need calling out, and I'm glad that you have, and I will continue to. I hold grudges, Kate. I happily admit I am not one who easily forgives, so they're dead to me, this brand, and I will continue to call them out on social media forever until the end of time. Thank you so much.
Good. That was the whole point. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't. I actually didn't even plan on putting any of that in here, but like I could see a review being like, "Ugh, this woman just hates everything." Like, joke's on you. I sure do. Like, do you know what times what type of times we're living in right now, it is impossible not to hate everything. Come on.
I just want to find a supplement company that just is at its core really good. They haven't been found out to be doing anything a little bit shady. I'm yet to find it. I'm going to keep searching.
Do you know what? I don't know Liquid IV's whole shtick. I don't know. Maybe they're actually do. I know a little bit. They're owned by Unilever, and their like chief marketing officer comes from Procter and Gamble. They are just a business with a gap in the marketplace. Like they don't even have the pseudoscience war on salt narrative that Mr. Wolf has over here. Like they're just like, there's a gap and I'm gonna fill it, and I have a lot of flavors to do so, and I get it. It's probably yummier than LMNT because it's less salty.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here, everyone, on Hater FM. I'm so glad we're doing this, Kate. Also, I also do want to point out as well, like I've worked with many clients in the past who had done like a moderate amount of cardio, whereas usually in the bracket I wouldn't bother with electrolyte supplements. But then we've actually trialed electrolyte supplements and they've never felt better. Once again, it could be the fact that they're hydrating more as a result of drinking electrolytes, or whether actually this massively helped. They've noticed reduced cramping. So there definitely is a place for them. I've worked with long endurance athletes, people that are doing Ironmans, for example. I recently worked with a guy, hi Rob, I know that you listen, for his first Ironman. He'd never used electrolyte supplements before for really long distance racing. We introduced them and he just felt awesome as a result. So there certainly is a place for it. But if you're someone who just does kind of pretty light workouts, an everyday exerciser, you don't sweat a lot, you don't live in a really hot climate, then you probably don't need them. So don't fall for the branding, folks, because these companies suck.
I like that Michael just kind of shut me up. He was like, okay, Kate,
No, I wasn't shutting you up. No,
No,
I wasn't shutting you up. Sorry, I thought you'd finished the end of your conclusion. I'm sorry, Kate, if I jumped in there.
I was probably just going to keep rambling. No, I think that's really good. And I think, I mean, to make it a little actionable too, if you're looking for an electrolyte supplement, I would look for one where the ratio of sodium to potassium is a little more equal. You probably don't need the full gram of sodium that LMNT provides, unless you have POTS, honestly. Like you probably don't need that. But the ratio may be a little better. I know that several have carbs. Like Liquid IV does have some carbs in it, but like glucose does help with hydration and sodium uptake. So there's a reason it's there. And if you're using electrolyte supplementation during a workout, for like long endurance, you do need that glucose. So something like Tailwind or Scratch, which is like a truly like rehydrating carbohydrate beverage for long endurance, like is going to be better than these two that we're talking about. And so that's that. I am sorry I got so fired up. I just want you to be a critical consumer of wellness marketing. And so maybe next time you see Electrolytes ad, you ask yourself who it's for. Is it for you? Are you an athlete who needs this? Maybe. Or is it for Rob Wolf's bottom line?
I'm just going to ask myself, how much would Kate get pissed off with this advert? If it's high, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Yeah, Kate, I love that. I'm so glad you took this podcast down that route because I didn't know what angle you were going to take on it, and I'm so glad that you did because I've been unsure about LMNT, not that this is all about them, for a while, and now I'm glad that I know everything that I know, especially about the way they call out the World Health Organization.
That one just real. It was,
yeah.
You know, of all of it, I know we need to wrap up, but the part where he said, "I hope you find it useful as you navigate the bizarre world of public health recommendations."
It's only bizarre because it stops you making more money. So calm yourself.
That was the point where like I like morphed into the Hulk and was like, "All right, I'm coming for you, LMNT." Okay.
Thank you.
That's it. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, subscribe, comment, whatever it is. Spread the word of the podcast. And we will see you all again in a couple of weeks. Thanks, Kate.
Bye.